Hello, Hola, Konnichiwa, Salaam, Ciao Namaste. Peace to all. This is Soulology, the science of the soul. And let's discuss, why do relationships not work? And you might be thinking right now, some of you might be single right now thinking, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And some of you might be in relationships right now where you have arguments. Some of you might be in good relationships you're enjoying. And that might be a positive of what's working for that person. And we're going to discuss those differences in understanding of why for some people it works and why for some people it doesn't, and what is the main source for many people of why they can't get to that part of what they desire. And I will make, in a sense, a part 2 of this, so that you can understand that it goes much more beyond, and that one will be more discussing the understanding of unconditional love, of really how far it really expands, and what you do not understand due to your Terranistic ideology that allows you to feel a certain way about certain things on your planet, the status quo, etc., etc. So let's begin. First of all, the biggest problem that is the reason why relationships usually don't work is because, well, actually it's a split. First of all, we're in it for the wrong reason. Second of all, we do not realize that relationships were not meant for us to find someone who completes us. We are already complete as a soul, as a species, and so on and so forth. You are just merely an experience. You are a soul that is already complete. There is no reason for you to find your, as you would say, better half. You are not here to find your better half. You're here to experience who you are, and you can go share that experience with someone else. And loving who you are, understanding who you are, and growing and balancing off of each other to evolve each other, because it can be a beautiful thing. Evolving each other to grow to your highest selves of understanding, if you are both willing, open, and unconditional loving and understanding, and very observant, especially of your behaviors. However, we do not work in that aspect. We work with the aspect of believing that we need to find, as we would say, the one. We look into the aspect of our world, believing that we have to control someone, to morph them into what we desire. And this is the second reason of that. We're always trying to make, in a sense, a business contract in a relationship. In fact, we already do it. We consider marriage to be the highest among high of importance of who we are. However, there is really no need for marriage. What you're really doing, that most people may not realize, is you are creating a contract. You do this also when you date or when you're in a relationship as well. So we'll expand it through all of that. You simply say, in a sense, I'll give you some of this if you give me some of that. Maybe that doesn't make sense in a scenario, right? So let's put it in deeper detail. Boy meets girl, or girl meets boy, no matter how you put it. The boy wants sex. The girl wants someone who perhaps can emotionally, mentally give her more understanding, or someone to talk to, someone to converse with. Or for some women, in a sense, you buy me certain things and I'll give you sex. And it can also go vice versa for other men. Not all men are like that. And that's something you have to observe as well. However, you give me some of this, I'll give you some of that comes into play. That's just one. of how it goes. There's plenty of them. We use this as a way, in a sense, that if something runs out, that we can't be with that person. In fact, we use this ideology when dating people by immediately judging them off the back. Because if they don't have what we desire, whether it be the house, the car, the clothes, the money, whatever you are looking for, both men or women, we don't want to date that person. And of course, for some people out there, they might think, well, there are some people that are just not good. Of course. And that is why you need to be observant of those around you instead of immediately just judging, I don't want to be around that person. Okay, so you're around a person, you observe their behaviors. Okay, it's understandable if you need to walk away from that because it does not work for you. Very understandable. But sometimes for many people, we misunderstand certain people and immediately decide that that's not the one for us, or that person will not work with us in a relationship, and we have no understanding of that. We don't even have understanding. We don't have unconditional love because we don't use those things. We use what the status quo of the world tells us, and what he said, that she said, that he said, that she said, that she said, that he said, that probably doesn't work for me. We don't ever work on self to understand not only the people around us, but deeply how important it is to have unconditional love, which blooms most energy, which allows you to be at peace with self and love you first. We grow jealousy and unnatural emotion within ourselves, believing that it's a good thing to be jealous, but this is an unnatural emotion of who you are because people have been killed, people have been harmed, nations have fallen, areas, territories have been harmed by this ideology of jealousy. Jealousy is not a healthy thing, but we believe it to be a healthy thing. Being observant of those things that work and don't work for you are important, that make you feel a certain way. And the third thing of this, now that we're on it, make you feel a certain way, is the fact that when you are in relationships, some of the reasons why they do not work is because of what they change you into, something you are not. Many of us get into arguments, get into fights, say things, or become something we would say different than we were in the relationship. Maybe the opposite half that you are with would say that, or the same half would say that to you. That you act differently now. Or the relationship's not the same anymore. And the problem with that is, first of all, you are using energy to allow such things to become reality. And that is something you are not understanding. You are allowing those things to become a reality. And second, you don't observe your actions and the other person's actions, and vice versa. So we go off. We get upset, we get angry, we get mad, we sometimes get malicious. And there is a percentage of 51% divorce rate because of it, when we talk about marriages. I don't know the exact rate for relationships or dating, but it can be observed that it is pretty high one way or another. Why do you think you have people, for example, who feel as though, I don't want to be in a relationship, or I just want to be single? Or better yet, let me make it even more detailed. Why do you think you even have ascended masters? Why have many of them not really been in relationships? And remember, I said no. Many of them. Not all of them. Many of them. Many of them have not been in relationships because of the ideologies of what we believe. And what can happen, in a sense, because we are held back, in a sense, like by a chain, if we ascend, or if we are more, or if we are understanding a bigger version, it scares people, it terrifies people, because they can't understand, they can't comprehend it, they don't know, because it is foreign, unknown to them. They are unaccepting of it. It's an interesting ideal we have. We're unaccepting of those things. And yet, at our highest peak of who we truly are, being the master, being the God, being the goddess, being the creator of which you already are, we are unwilling to understand it. And that is because to us it is just too much, too scary, too much responsibility is how we see it. And we don't see it as just simply us understanding who we are. We don't see relationships as working with each other. We see relationships as, due to what the status quo is in the world, I need X amount of things in order to be with you. And that is a very foolish idea to believe in, because it doesn't allow you to grow and evolve. You are stuck in a mindset that allows you to believe that this is how it has to be for me to be better. And instead of understanding, well, what if you work with that person to grow and evolve each other to get to the places you desire to go, instead of believing that those things are impossible. You haven't observed with that person. You haven't been with that person. You haven't grown on understanding with that person to get to that point. Hence why for many people, you have, in a sense, where many people have asked themselves, why can I never find that person? And for some of you, it is simply because you have to work more on yourself. And for many of you, it is because, including myself, you've passed up people who possibly could have been that type of vibrational energy around you that could work with you in growing each other's understanding. It goes both ways. Some of us need to grow. Some of us have passed by relationships like that. So, in conclusion, in order for you to allow a relationship to work for you, of course, you have to observe what is necessary in your life, because when you are growing as a soul, the biggest problem for many of us is the fact that we do not observe. We are always about being with someone who has a lot of money, being with someone who has a nice car, the nice apartment, or whatever we're trying to look for. We're always looking for that and not observing deeper. When you get to this understanding of self, certain things like that become unneeded, because you are willing to grow. You won't desire to grow further. Sometimes it works. Hence why you have other people who are able to love themselves and grow themselves. And then you have people that you have to understand simply, and this is the fourth one that we're going to go on, is people compromising. We do not compromise, as I said, we always use business contracts. We don't compromise what is necessary. We don't compromise what is needed. We don't compromise what works for each other, balancing off of each other, the yin to the yang, balancing each other, understanding to balance what is so-called a relationship. If there is something you feel about a person, don't give it a second thought. If you care about that person, you don't want to hurt them in that sense, but you desire to grow, don't give it a second thought, but keep going. And that's why certain people, they last so long. So, again, in conclusion, that was the fourth one. In order to allow a relationship to work for you, you have to be willing to understand your understanding and understanding of self. To grow and love who you are first, to understand what you desire out there, and to understand the importance of Business contracts do not work in a relationship. Compromise helps grow you in a relationship, to evolve each other in a relationship, to unconditionally love and to understand both your behaviors and to observe greatly about what works for you. So, just realize though how amazing, how beautiful, how magnificent, how divine you guys are as the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. So remember that to know thyself is to know the creator within, who you are. And to everybody out there, have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.